How many times has this happened? You're watching a film and it's pretty darn good. It's got the right amount of Cillian Murphy in it, it's in space, it's got lots of really exciting moments. All that's left is for a really satisfying, oh, what the f***? Who's that guy? Why is he made of pepperoni? When did this become a religious thing? What's going on with gravity? Astute movie fans will recognise that as the plot of... Correct, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, and it's an example of a great movie being crippled by a bad plot twist. This list is what happens when it's the other way around. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and here are 10 awesome plot twists that saved terrible movies. Spoilers, obviously. Number 10, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Twilight 4, Breaking Dawn Part 2 is a tedious hot mess of a movie featuring awful CGI Kristen Stewart, awful real-life Kristen Stewart, and a CGI baby that ranks as one of cinema's greatest mistakes. The worst part of the movie is just how damn boring it is, featuring people having a chat in a wood, people having a chat in a house, and people having a chat in a cold place.
But wait! There's more!
A gigantic vampire on vampire, werewolf on vampire burly brawl happens at the end, and it's brilliant. Seriously, Dakota Fanning gets fed to a wolf, a dude punches a giant ravine into the ground, Michael Sheen gets his head pulled off. It's a gloriously bizarre 10 minutes of utter nonsense. Sure, it turns out to be a hallucination at the end, but considering that the book ends with people having a chat, the fight scene was a hugely welcome twist in an exceedingly dull movie. Number 9, Final Destination 5. Final Destination, for a long part of its running time, felt like it shouldn't have existed. I mean, the movie before it was literally called The Final Destination, and though the kills were still quite fun, it felt like a pedestrian offering right up until the end, which revealed, BAM! Surprise prequel, bitches! With the sting in the tail being that the survivors of Final Destination 5 end up on the plane that blows up at the beginning of Final Destination 1. It ties off the franchise in a surprisingly satisfying way, and it's only when you go back and rewatch the whole film that you realise that filmmakers have hidden clues that the movie takes place in the year 2000, like old phones and slightly off fashion. Number 8, Friday the 13th. Despite spawning all the sequels in the world and having Kevin Bacon in it, you know, the EE guy, the original Friday the 13th is a fairly bog-standard slasher. It received bad reviews from critics at the time and has only really become a cult classic following its legacy of follow-up Jason movies. The original movie didn't have a hockey mask, that came in part 3, and didn't even have Jason himself, with a shock twist ending revealing that the killer was his mother, Mrs. Voorhees. Genuinely surprising ending in what is often a male killer-dominated genre. It's possible that this twist ending is the only thing that saves this movie from total averageness, and it's possible that it's what kicked off one of the biggest franchises in horror. Number 7, The Book of Eli. On the official quality scale of Denzel, Book of Eli is more of a bone collector than a Training Day. A dreary, brown-stained apocalypse that doesn't go good enough to be Mad Max or bad enough to be Resident Evil 3. And then the ending happens. It turns out that Eli has been blind all along, and that the precious Bible he's been shepherding this whole time has all been in Braille. It's a bonkers twist that, like all great movie swerves, makes you reevaluate everything that's come before it, and suddenly elevates Denzel's previous badassery from half-cooked to full-on Jedi. Number 6, Ender's Game. Ender's Game is a classic 80s sci-fi novel from classic 80s homophobic asshole Orson Scott Card. It recently got turned into a fairly pants movie that just seemed to be about teenagers in a sci-fi military academy for the whole damn flick. It looked as boring and as bored as this picture of Harrison Ford.
Han Solo dies.
However, they kept the ending to the original tale, and that's still a killer. See, Ender is a kid who runs combat simulations against an alien race called the Formic and wipes them out as part of his final exam. You know, like SATs, but with more callous sacrificing of fleets of your own men. However, at the end, it's revealed it's not a test. The simulations are real and the aliens really were wiped out by Ender. Oh, and sending most of his own side's fleet to their deaths? Yeah, that was real too. In terms of stings in the tail, this one's an absolute doozy. Number 5, Dead Silence. This one's stupid, but a shining example of how something stupid can become an art form. In Dead Silence, the ghost of a dead ventriloquist kills people when they scream. It's pretty naff. And in support of that point, it's also got Donnie Wahlberg in it. Lead character Jamie, who's not even played by Donnie Wahlberg, that's how boring this is, burns a whole load of puppets to banish an evil spirit called Mary Shaw, then returns to his wheelchair-bound stroke victim father. Turns out that the evil ventriloquist spirit is actually possessing his dad's trophy wife, and that she killed the dad ages ago, and she turned him into this flesh puppet which she operates remotely and throws her voice to become the old man to fool Jamie into thinking he's talking to his dad when he's not. It's a hollowed out mechanical puppet. It's the maddest thing in the world. It's a twist so utterly crackerjack that it's hard not to respect them for it, and it makes an otherwise forgettable movie memorable. Number 4, Sleepaway Camp. The She's Got Got a Penis twist is one with a surprisingly bulbous cinematic legacy. It's featured in The Crying Game, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and before either of those, in a slasher flick called Sleepaway Camp.
You won't be coming home.
The film is about Angela, who's traumatized after the deaths of her twin brother Peter and her father. She's sent to Sleepaway Camp, where one by one, everyone starts dying. Turns out, Angela was the killer, but Angela is in fact a boy. Turns out that the twin that died in the past was in fact Angela, and that Angela had been Peter all along, raised as Angela, not Peter, by her weird aunt as Angela, not Peter. Do you get it? It's another insane twist that forces the viewer to reevaluate everything that's come before, and most of the reviewers who praise the movie concede that without the ending, it'd be just another run-of-the-mill slasher. Number 3, Orphan. From an 80s so crazy it's good twist to one from only a few years ago, Orphan is a tale of a small girl called Esther.
My name is Esther.
Who's adopted by loving parents. It turns out that she's a really bad little miss, killing people with hammers, pushing girls in front of cars, and generally being spooky and weird. So that's a pretty normal horror about a spooky kid. There haven't been any of those. Well, at least it is normal until the last act, which careens over the cliff of sanity, crashing headlong into a lake of wonderful stupid. Turns out Esther is not a child, but a 33-year-old murderous dwarf who makes a habit of getting herself adopted by families and then killing them. Well, hello movie, where have you been for the last boring hour? It's utter dribbling lunacy, but hey, at least it's something to talk about. Number 2, Saw 2. There are 7 Saw movies. Saw 1 is a good movie. Saw 6 is a good movie. And that's about it, but Saw 2 has a bloody cracking twist to its name. The Saw movies are a spider's web of increasingly complicated schemes by an increasingly dead killer called Jigsaw. The saga, and at 7 films with one overriding plot, I guess it is a saga, is full of betrayals, twists, convoluted silliness. Pretty much every movie ends the same way, with a new piece of previously unknown information throwing everything the audience knew about the film set up on its head. In Saw 2, Donnie Wahlberg, hey, welcome back, is looking for his son, watching via CCTV as his teenage boy and a bunch of other idiots get picked off in a house by Jigsaw's parlor games. Turns out, surprise, the CCTV feed isn't live, and his son has been in the same room as him the whole time. It's great. The film is not. Number 1, Terminator 3. Terminator 3 is fairly bad. We're all agreed on that, right? I mean, considering that the Terminator was great and Terminator 2 is godlike, we're all on the same page that 3 is a bit of a wet bag of piss. Yeah? Cool. It's got a stupid, goofy sense of humor, action isn't all that great, it's a bit nonsensical, it's a step down. But then the ending happens, and it's awesome. The film ends with John Connor and pals trying to get to a bunker where they can avert World War III. They make it, and it turns out, no. There's nothing there to avert World War III at all. The bunker's just there, it turns out, to keep them safe while the world outside ends. Then it does. The world goes up in damn flames all around them. Now, considering how vanilla the film had been up until this point, how dare it suddenly have the gigantic balls to pull off a twist ending this bold? Well played, Terminator 3. Well played. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Tell us about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Adam from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.
The battle has just begun.